Yeah, I know, I don't blame you.
I did after I talked to you. I really want to go to Oh my gosh, that auction was so much pressure.
I know. There weren't a lot of us in the audience.
I know.
And, you know,
I didn't want those.
What-
A lot of those things from
you know, what they should have done is up front say, hey, we have Venmo, we have PayPal. Because I mean, I'd gone through all the money I had in my wallet. Yeah.
But I felt on the spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those trips to Ireland. And I thought it was more, I didn't read the whole thing.
I didn't
just
either.
thought it was like a silent auction. I could go in and write my name or something. Now they just sit
No.
there and you got to point at you.
Oh, he was directed at me for the first few minutes, and then fortunately his attention kind of went elsewhere.
Yeah.
You've got to see this.
But I got a very nice plant from the trees.
Nice.
No.
Just remember to water it.
I'll hear you guys.
You feel like better than you were the other night?
What's that?
You feel like better?
Oh yeah. Sorry, it mostly felt okay. It was just, sorry. That's all right. I felt bad after.
Feels a little lonely.
I know, that's what it was. I know Aaron's not going to be on. He's on spring break, but Suzanne's on virtually.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. She still has to.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
What, Christy, is Dominique, is she virtual or?
No, and I talked to her today, and she didn't say that she wasn't going to be here.
Okay, yeah. But we'll go ahead and get started anyway.
I think she just drove in.
Oh, no worries, yeah. Yeah.
Ruining his spring break. I thought he was.
All right, I have 6 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. And just quickly, we are going to do a little rearranging of the agenda. We do have a joint work session with the Planning Commission, and we're going to move them up one notch to item 3, and the interviews will be item 4. And we're going to start with, we have an update from our financial advisors. Thank you.
And actually, we just gave them 5 minutes. They provided an update to the Finance Committee, but I wanted them to
Right.
come and say hi to you. Eilers, our firm, works with us on our financial management plan. They helped us issue the COPs. They do our investment portfolio rate studies. And the 2 representatives here today to say hi to you are Ryan Miles and Jim Gretsch.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Ryan Miles, I'm the managing director of the investment firm at Ehlers. And we met with the finance committee this afternoon to go through the overall investment portfolio that we manage and really talked about the safety and soundness of the investment portfolio, making sure that it aligns with the goals and objectives of the city, as well as reporting back on how the performance of the portfolio is performing. And so it was a good discussion this afternoon with the finance committee, with several members of the council on the committee, and went through that. And as Amy mentioned, we really just wanted to thank you for the partnership that we've had with the city of Salida. Our motto at Ehlers is to build communities, and we've been able, in a small way, to help assist the city with safety and soundness with, like Amy mentioned, with debt issuance and with the investments of the city and some of the utility rate studies and some of those reporting aspects, some of the financial reports to really give back to the staff to really drive the city forward and really make this a great place to live, work, and play. And so just really want to thank the city for your partnership, and we look forward to working with you in the future to come. So yeah, open up to any questions that you might have too.
I want us to say thanks. I know we've been working together. I think it's been about 3 years at this point.
I think so.
About 3 years, and really appreciate what you bring. And I know I remember a few years ago, we're getting some of that money invested in ways where we were actually generating returns, which was obviously additive to the community.
Yeah.
So thank you.
It's really nice to see. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, safe travels. And then next up, we have the Extraordinary Teen Council. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Council. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Thanks.
Haven't seen you all in a while. Hope you're all well. I have a little bit of an update for you guys on what ETC's been up to. We're still around and doing stuff. So we are almost finished making a calm room at Salida High. It's basically going to be a room in the Salida administrative area of the building where teens who feel overwhelmed or feel like they need some assistance can go and wait in the calm room for maybe someone's help if they want to speak to an adult, maybe if they just want to chill out for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And what is so great about this room is it used to be like a disciplinary room where you would be put if you were they're shoving you away for a second before they come out and yell at you or whatever. So we're kind of shifting a little bit of a narrative there.
Yeah.
It is it? Yeah.
Calm before the storm.
Exactly. So instead of making it sort of like a prison cell-esque waiting room, we're going to try and change it and make it a little more friendly for all students and just kind of switch that narrative. So we're excited about that. We have more teen nights coming up. We have an arcade event this month. We're going to have a Mount Princeton swim night later in the spring. So that's really exciting. And that's what ETC's been up to. I also want to update you on the SRO survey, that 2.0 survey that's going to be coming your way soon. I wanted to give a shout out to another ETC member of mine. Lulu sent it out pretty recently, I think last week, and we have 86 responses so far. And I think 20 of those were teacher responses, which is great because we didn't get that demographic previously in our last survey. And they definitely have very valid and important opinions on this too that we want to hear about. So that's really exciting, and we're excited to kind of compose that data and present that to you at some point in the future. And the last thing we're really working on that's exciting is the Omni presentation that Justin and I are doing. We're going to kind of share this model and this experiment that we've been doing, having a city council liaison to other neighboring communities and hopefully give them some advice and some pointers if this is something that they would want to start up where they are, which I think is great. And I think it's going to be an awesome kind of expansion of the program. And then lastly, the Sustainability Committee. We wanted to thank Sarah Law and City Council for writing the youth position into the bylaws. So that is great. We're super excited about that. Sustainability is something that teens care about a lot, so very grateful for that. That's basically everything that's been going on with us. Lastly, as always, if there's anything that you want teen voice on that maybe you think concerns us, I'd love to hear it, or if you have any questions or anything like that, it's open up to you.
I'll start with a question. Just can you tell me a little bit more about the calm room and kind of what it looks like? And
Yeah. So it's a little room. It's like that first room kind of when you're walking down that hallway in the office of the high school building. I don't know when the last time you were in there was, but it's kind of that first little room. It's tiny, it's a shoebox, and it previously just kind of had this like L-shaped desk and like a wooden chair. It was all that was going on in there. So we're gonna add like we were thinking putting art in from like the students of Frazee who make art, and it's displayed in other parts of the school. We could have art on the walls, maybe add like a beanbag or something like that. And we also just want to put like kind of a little plaque that says this is the calm room, don't stay in here for too long, but we want you to use this space when you need it. And then we want to partner with the counselors a little bit so that this is something that they're slightly monitoring, when they get up to talk to someone at the front desk or whatever. They're peeking in there, making sure if anybody needs help in there. So it's just kind of going to be a nice little space. I think we've been thinking about it a while. It started off as like a mental health room. It's something that other schools have done and that we've seen like in other areas in America is like kind of a freak out room if you need a space to go or whatever. It makes school feel more safe for teens that need help like that and time away, I guess. So that's how it started, but I think it's going to turn into a great space.
I'm curious to see how it goes. Thanks.
Yeah, I would too.
How many teachers responded to that?
20.
I believe it was 20. Yeah.
20?
Is that right?
And when does that close out as far as for responses?
Pretty much as soon as possible. It wasn't as many responses as we liked, so we thought we'd leave it open a little bit. We kind of, around the spring break time, it's hard to get responses. So,
Yeah.
but we'll want to compile that data like as soon as possible, basically.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anything else?
Thank you very much. Really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Okay. And so we're going to switch things around. Oh, Debbie?
I just have one little.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's just kind of a follow-up on the comm room part. We're still talking with Mr. Hall about that and kind of formalizing that. So it's not a done deal, but I'm hoping we can have something in there by the end of school. So we'll see on that.
I'm thinking
Thanks.
about getting one here in council chambers.
Cool.
I need one at home, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch things around, and we're going to have the conceptual review on the Shake and Roost major subdivision.
Good evening, Council. The Shake and Roost major subdivision is a plan for, 14 half duplex lots, so 7 duplexes, on a half block of land that is just east of the high school and middle school and just 2 blocks north of Highway 50. This area is zoned C1 commercial. Duplexes are a limited impact review in C1, so that will run the same course as the major impact review for the major subdivision. The proposal, like I said, they're going to pre-plat the duplex lots so that they don't have to come back and do duplex conversions on each one. So that's why there's 14 lots for 7 structures. Once we receive the full submittal, we'll review it for compliance with the code. They'll be subject to fair contribution for public schools, the parks, open space and trails, fee in lieu, the provision of built inclusionary units, because this is more than 6 units. That comes out to 2.3. And then the public improvements and utility requirements that we'll find out about through the agency review process, as well as architectural standards, which are applicable to major subdivisions, and all the dimensional standards, which, because they'll be providing the inclusionary housing, they'll get the incentive, the inclusionary housing incentives for those dimensional standards in C1. And with that, I can take some questions, but I'm pretty sure the applicant's here. Okay, thank you. We hadn't met, so I wasn't positive. So they are here as well, and they would really we'd all appreciate your feedback.
Who would like to begin?
Can you just explain the zoning, the R3 and C1 part?
Oh, no, the whole site is zoned C1.
There was just a note in there you meant, so.
There's
just all
R3
C1.
zoning nearby.
Oh, okay,
So
surrounding
the
R3.
surrounding zoning is C1 and R3, but the site itself
Okay,
is
sorry.
completely zoned C1.
Okay, yep.
So is there green space? You said they were paying fee in lieu.
So with this one, I mean, I guess technically Diesel will review that, but given that the entire site is less than 1 acre, the assumption at this point is they would pay the fee in lieu for the green space. The lots themselves will have yards, but at that size of a site, any required dedication would be pretty minute.
I guess my question is, seeing as this is a commercial zone, is this the appropriate use of a commercial zone? I know that we have dwellings in the commercial zone, but we're having a whole brand new development. Is that the appropriate thing to do in a commercial zone?
Mm-hmm. And I didn't see the zoning map around here. The commercial in this area extends that full 2 blocks north of the highway, so there's a lot of commercial in that area. But also, to your point, Like I said, it does have a limited impact review component with it for the use of duplexes in C1. So that'll be something that can be discussed with that review as far as the use in commercial. But there is a sizable amount of commercial. Most of that commercial does have existing homes on it, at least right in this vicinity, because we are 2 blocks off the highway as opposed to being in that first block.
Yes.
Catherine, I'm just really curious about these skinny lots that are 20 feet. What is the duplex going to look like on that? Is it going to be like this?
So that's a great question. So this actually, the lot itself that the duplex takes up will be 40 feet. That line goes through the center of it. So this is pretty standard for the duplexes you see around town. They're just drawing the line before they build it,
Right.
as opposed to coming back and drawing it after they build it. So it can be done either way. That's why they look so skinny.
Gotcha.
And I'm curious if the applicant, not to put you on the spot, but if you had anything you wanted to share, you're more than welcome.
No, we're super excited. We bought this property.
Do you mind, do you mind, just because people are watching?
I'm usually yelled at for being too loud.
Not in here.
Not here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just super excited. We bought this property about 1.5 years ago. There's an existing home on it and an old commercial structure. It's right across the street from the tennis courts and the early childhood center. It's very close to the middle school as well. We saw this as an opportunity to build homes that people like us could afford and not $1 million homes. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And we've started working, we're of course working with a civil engineer, Three Rocks, but we've also started working on plans that will encompass modest homes that we can try to keep affordable for people like teachers and nurses.
Thank you.
Everything.
That was well said. That's
Can't beat that. Anything else? So this will come back when?
To council, I'm not sure, I guess maybe April, May,
Okay.
something.
But
So-
first to planning commission or?
Yeah, it'll come to planning commission. I don't know if we'll have the application in time to make the April planning commission. If not, it'll be sometime in May, and then 2 readings at council after that.
Great. Thank you. Okay. All right, and now we have the interviews for the Ward 3 candidates. And I just want to start by thanking everybody. I mean, we got 7 people that stepped up and put their names in. And when I look at what's happened the last few election cycles, that's just remarkable. So really, really appreciate everyone's willingness to do so. The way this is going to work tonight is we're going to have, when the interviews occur, we'll have everyone else waiting. There's a room across the hall. It's it's called the Tenderfoot Room. And we'll have people wait there. It'll be a comfortable place and then you'll get called in for the interview. But the idea is we want to be fair to everyone during this process, okay? So, if you can scroll up. So first up, we have Jackie Byrne. And if everyone else who's here to interview could please wait in that room and we will call you in as that occurs, that would be wonderful. Thank you. You have questions? Okay, good. There's just 4 and Justin has 1 add-on, so.
For each of them?
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, great, thanks. Thanks for being here. So we're going to ask everybody the same questions, just in the spirit of fairness and all. So we have questions, and once again, really appreciate you being here tonight. I'll go ahead and ask the first one, and then we'll rotate around. There'll be 5 of them. What is the most important skill you can bring to council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public's asking you to do?
Well, probably to listen. I have listened to a lot of interventions that council has put out there, and the different ideas, and then listening to the citizens. You know, I think as a council person, one of the most important things is we are elected by the people. And when there's a vacancy, then we are appointed by the council. And if we don't listen to the people, they're not going to be working with the council. Let me give you an example. If we have businesses that are not happy with decisions that council makes, it affects their sales, which then affects the tax revenue that the city gets. And I know we cannot please everybody all the time. And I wanted to be on council to have it be more transparent. It's okay to say no. And how many times have we heard that?
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can go next,
Okay.
because I don't know what Justin's question is.
Yeah,
so.
go ahead.
If appointed, what would be your plan to come up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
Well, I hopefully will be able to sit with somebody with council or with staff. I do monitor the meetings if I'm not here. And I go back and review meetings if I see or hear things that I have questions about, and then I reach out and ask for clarification. And so I think that's probably one of the most important things. I don't, if I'm appointed, don't intend to come to council and say, well, you guys are doing it all wrong, because you guys have done a lot of really good things. But I would like to be involved in explaining this to the people in my ward and in the community. You know, I have had a lot of folks reach out to me. I've had a lot of letters of support. And, you know, there's people that are in my ward that don't feel like their needs are being met. And so sometimes you have to sit down and say, it's okay, because we cannot meet your needs.
Thanks.
Tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
Well, Alicia, I think probably the most important thing would be when we had a bus incident on Monarch, and a bus full of teenage kids coming off of Monarch crashed. And we knew that we had mass casualties. We knew that we needed a lot of help. And so I took charge of the scene, and on the way to the scene, I requested ambulances from surrounding counties to cover calls in Buena Vista and Salida. And as the ambulances come in, we loaded patients and moved them to the hospital as quickly as we could. Requested a bus for the ones that weren't less injured, or the walking wounded, I guess is what some people would call them. It's a rough term, but that's the medical term about it. And fortunately, we had no fatalities. And we worked as a team. We had the law enforcement there, we had fire department there, we had CDOT there, and we had ambulances from other agencies, and they were all very professional, and we worked as a team, and we were on scene. We had, I think, 32 patients, and we were on scene 42 minutes. So it was less than that golden hour that everybody talks about.
Thank you. And Suzanne, do you want to ask that fourth question? I think I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm happy to ask it, but I wanted to.
Yes, I'm here. Let me, I was just looking at, going through her application, so let me see if I have that question in front of me here. But I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good. Okay, just checking. Hi, Jackie. It's Suzanne. I'm sorry, I'm online. Hope to be there soon again.
She has a really good
Our last
excuse.
question
Yeah.
for you is, how would you respond to a decision that didn't go your way?
How would I respond to a decision that didn't go my way? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am. How would you respond to a decision that didn't go your way?
Well, it's not just my decision. There are how many people that are on the council. And if the council votes to make the decision that isn't the way I think it should go, I think I would have to endorse and support the vote. I think my biggest thing would be is if a decision's made and then for some reason it's changed, then you kind of lose that transparency and ability to speak to people so they understand why at this time it was okay, this time it wasn't. But I'm a team player, and I've had a lot of things that didn't go my way. And I'm still upright, not in jail, and willing to work with people.
Thanks.
And last question is me. I want to ask this question in the interest of foregoing a campaign, just to get an idea of what your platform is. So what do you consider priority projects for the city, and what are goals that you wish to achieve in this position?
Well, I don't have any priority projects, okay? I am not asking to be put on council because I have an agenda. I believe that council has a full plate, and so does the city. There's a few things that I have watched as I came to the meetings, and we've had citizens come up and say, well, when are we going to deal with this? And when are we going to deal with that? And then pretty soon you see little cartoons in the paper. And my biggest example can be the city deer, okay? And I believe it was one of the teachers, Mr. Danhauer, is the one that addressed the council a couple months ago about, are we going to fix this problem? I don't know whose problem it is. Is it city council's problem to go out and rope them and take them to the forest? Or is it DOW's issue and they need to come in and relocate them? But let's get an answer for these folks. Get it off the back burner and it's done. As far as projects, affordable housing is a big thing, okay? And I totally understand that. I have been very fortunate to have lived here all my life. My husband and I have purchased a home, at a time that housing wasn't as expensive. I mean, it was affordable housing to us. But then there's also the fact of being transparent with the citizens. Be honest with them. I'm not asking to be on council to hurt somebody's feelings, but I think being open and honest, and again, if it can't be done, then let's not do it. And make peace with the communities around us. Every time, my daughter lives in Poncha Springs, okay? And every time I'm out there, it seems like, well, you still live in the city, why don't you move out here with us? The city hates us. No, we don't. But let's get some of those issues settled. These people want to build too. We're talking about affordable housing, so why can't we have the county assist with building and get some affordable housing out in the county also. Then we don't have the density that is being put on the city.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay.
Okay.
Yep, you'll go get. I'm gonna wait for her to come back and just check, and I'll let you know.
Maybe we'll just make you watch it from home.
Oh, no.
Or I can run to the house and put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let me just, give me one. Given that, so after people present, I mean, they've already given their presentation, if they want to stick around, that should be okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see any reason.
Okay.
Court, once
Yeah.
you've given your testimony.
Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Thank you.
should we,
Same way each time.
Yeah, we're going to do the same thing again. You started with question one.
I did, okay.
Yeah, you did.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we have 5 questions. Everybody's going to get the same questions, to be fair. But the first question is, what's the most important skill you can bring to the city council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public asks you for?
So the specific skill set that I have is community building, in that I am able to take the perspectives from all of those around me. So I have the experience of the experts of the staff, as well as the experience of those who have lived here from the constituents that I have. Putting those together and trying to find a solution that can appease both, though I know that's not possible. In the situation where my constituents that I represent are strongly against the advice that's been given by the staff, the city staff, I, depending on the situation, because there are times where the popular vote is not always what's going to be what's best for the future, I will probably, though, have to side with my constituents because those are the people that I represent. This is something that I'm also taking into consideration when I think about my perspective as service industry. Although I can give that perspective on council, I understand that my job is to represent the ward and not just that demographic that I represent.
Thank you.
And I think we might need an introduction, so we're interviewing Wales Martin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
For the record. If appointed, what would be your plan to come up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
So I do have a little bit of background knowledge of council roles and responsibilities after attending the work session that was held for the new council members that just came onto council. So I have a little bit of that background knowledge. However, I am someone who likes to seek mentorship from others. So coming to all of you guys as other council members, and especially coming to someone who represents Ward 3 as well, Elisa, coming to her and asking her advice about how she has done it the last 4 years, will continue to do it the next 4 years, and move forward from there.
Thanks.
Tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
Yeah. I think my greatest example of creating an environment of inclusivity, respect, and what was the other one? Trust.
And respect, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think back to when I was a YMCA director and working with those students, we would go over the foundations of the YMCA every single day in the morning and just have a little roll call with it. However, whenever there were times when there was disciplinary actions that needed to be taken, I would make sure to go back to those rule books and be like, okay, so this is an example of respect. Like, was that being respectful? Can we make sure that we are doing that? So we had trust, respect, honesty, and integrity. Those were our core values.
And so I know that I can implement that into the environment that I am working in. I've done that with students, YMCA students, as well as students that I have taught in 4th grade in Denver. I have done that with my colleagues when I am teaching, just bringing in anyone who wants to be involved with any other community programs that we have. I do that now. I invite everyone to come to city council meetings. It doesn't always get taken up, but I still try. And yeah, I feel as though when it comes to respect, I might not always agree with everybody, but I respect that that everybody has their own opinion, and there's no right or wrong opinion, no matter how hard you think there is.
Hi, Wales. This is Suzanne. I'm online.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So another question is, how would you respond to a decision that didn't go your way?
So if I were, let's say, like on the dissenting end of a vote, I believe that, it's a vote, and if I lost, I lost. I'm not going to contest it. I think that's been shown in my election for treasurer. I did not contest the results. I wasn't like, oh, it was so close, and it is what it is. I accept it and move on. And I understand that there are times where I will come to disagreement with others, and if I stick to what my constituents want me to stick to, then I know that I'm doing my job. I also think about my current experience with the Community Foundation Grant Review Committee. There were times when I was advocating for certain programs to maybe receive more or less funding. We would have to come to a vote at times, and if my opinion wasn't the one that was listened to, I didn't throw a fit. I didn't contest it. I just accept it. My ego is not that big, and I just move on.
Last one's me. Just in the interest of foregoing a campaign, I want to know about what your platform is. In other words, what do you consider priority projects or goals that you wish to achieve in your role here on council?
Yeah. I think what I would hope to focus on would be communication and transparency. I feel as though we could do a stronger job of communicating when we have resolutions coming up that could be contentious in the community. Not to say that the city staff doesn't already do that and that it's maybe just being ignored by some people. However, we just need to push it out there and really get what's going on in the city out there so that people are well informed. And then as far as like some other issues, I know obviously like affordable housing is a big one. It is something that I also have taken into my own hands in the way that I am an example of what happens when you follow through with the housing trust. I am a current homeowner now. I moved into a house and I have worked my tail off to get there. However, I know that it is possible with the funding and the programs that are provided here in the city. And also childcare is another one that just can't go without saying. It's the future of our city, and we need to make sure that we focus on that. And those are just also things I think that hit home for me. Again, I used to work with children, so I want to bring that, and I work with the Conservation Corps, the sustainability. If we don't have an environment for people to come in and visit and enjoy here, we're not going to have that tourist economy that we have now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to stay, or you can do whatever you like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Adam Martinez online.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
One moment, Adam.
Jim, wait.
Sorry to interject, but it would be a good idea to introduce each candidate.
I will.
For sake of clarity.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, absolutely.
I'm Jim Miller. By the way.
Are you a candidate, Jim?
So next up, we have Adam Martinez. Adam, are you with us? Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. So Adam, the way this will work is we will ask you 5 questions, or the same questions that were asked to everyone else. And then tomorrow night, we will vote on the appointment. So I'm going to start with the first question. And the first question is, what is the most important skill you can bring to the city council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public asks you to do?
I think one of the most important things is communication and reflective listening and answering people's questions, because I know Harold was good at reflective listening, and I think I could bring the same balance and listening to all the council members on what they have to say, whether I agree with them or don't agree with them, and keeping the lines of communication open, and in essence, and making sure that everybody's on the same page, and in essence, and trying to work out our differences, even if we don't agree.
Thank you.
Adam, this is Dominique Nacarado. I have question number 2. If appointed, what would be your plan to get up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
I know each of you, your titles and responsibilities. What I would like to do is talk to Alicia or maybe other members of council and try to get up to speed on things and seeing what the stuff that we need to do to work on, and in essence try to get the feel of what's being asked of me, and implementing it, and making sure that I carry it out to the best of my ability.
Okay, Adam, this is Elisa Pappenfort. And the third question is, tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
I worked at Alicia at in essence several different jobs. One, my first job at Walmart from 1996 to 2014. There was an unhappy customer, and he was wanting to turn the situation violent. So I called one of my managers to resolve the whole thing, and to make sure that customer was happy walking out the door. And then over at Safeways, trying to resolve customers, in essence, trying to resolve customers' unhappiness, try to work with them halfway to make sure that they leave the store happy. And the same at my third job, in essence, Sonic, and in essence, trying to make everyone happy. I know it's hard to do, but trying to, in essence, respect them and value them, and make sure that they, in essence, that they go out on a good note, even though it may not be the result that you want.
Thank you.
Hello, Adam. Can you hear me? This is Suzanne
Yes.
Fontana. Okay, question number 4. How would you respond to a decision that did not go your way?
A decision that did not go my way. There's a lot of stuff that sometimes that don't go my way, whether it's in work relationships or within the city or within personal relationships, and sometimes you have to agree to disagree. That doesn't mean one person's right, one person's wrong. It just means that it didn't go your way. You bite the bullet, and in essence, and you try to work halfway with people, whether it is right or wrong. There's no thing on being wrong, and that's what I was implore on council. If a vote didn't go my way, I would just move on, And I would just, in essence, try to live with the decision because people are a team and people need to work together.
Great. Adam, this is Justin Critelli. I have the last question, and it's in the interest of foregoing a campaign. I just want to know about your platform. Like, what do you consider priority projects for the cities, and what are goals that you wish to achieve in your role here on council?
Well, most of you know that I ran 2 years ago for city council. My platform back then was not to close the streets, seeing if we could, in essence, get an attorney who doesn't charge us a lot of money. In essence, working on affordable housing for the poor and the middle class. In essence, making sure we take care of our streets and roads. Make sure that we in essence, respecting city staff, because that's who you have to deal with every day, and in essence, make sure that you're implementing that, and in essence, and for me, it's being more involved with the public, and in essence, and trying to, in essence, I think what we can do in citizen participation is, after the meetings, we can answer people's questions if they don't sound like they're being heard, and just making sure that we have enough money in our budget to make sure that we have that we're able to afford projects. And sometimes you have to make cost-cutting decisions, and not every decision you make is good. So that's my plan.
Thank you, Adam. We will be voting on this tomorrow night.
Okay. You guys did a good job.
Thank you.
Richard Parker is next, and he's also online.
Oh, he's on.
Yes.
Richard, are you with us?
Self-muted.
Oh, I think you're self-muted.
Hi, this is Rich.
Great. Hey, so just for the record, we have Richard Parker with us. Thanks. We appreciate you being here, Rich. The way this is going to work is we're going to ask 5 questions, or the same questions that were asked to everyone this evening. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the first question is, what's the most important skill you can bring to the city council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public asks you for?
First of all, thank you all for accommodating me. I really appreciate it. I didn't really expect this to work out. I'm here in Belize on spring break with my family, so thank you. The question, I think, boils down to decision making. So my experience in my professional career and my career as a volunteer is in making decisions as a group. And I think what I can promise you is that I'll bring a perspective that is unbiased and experience in making decisions with a group. In my career, I consult on the investments of pension funds. And pension funds are governed by fiduciary boards. And fiduciary boards rely on good data for good decisions. And so my challenge is presenting the data in a way that enables them to make good decisions. And so I think, coming from that professional background, I think I can probably lend something to the way you all make decisions as a group. I also recognize that my professional background is probably not very consistent with some of the other folks you're interviewing today. I am a remote worker. I work for a large multinational organization. And to balance that out and to fight some of the stigma of remote workers, I tried to volunteer. And so I didn't see myself necessarily getting into public service. When I saw this opportunity, I felt like I had to jump on it. But one of the ways I think I tried to maybe fight that stigma, but also give back to my community is through volunteerism. And so I participated in a couple of nonprofit boards here in Salida. I'm the treasurer for Salida Mountain Trails. I'm also the treasurer for Ice Rink for Chittenden County, which is a local organization that's trying to figure out what it would take to get an ice rink and bring that as another piece of Salida's infrastructure. And so I'm used to boardroom settings. I'm used to group decision making. I'm used to challenging conventions. And I understand that you all have a challenge along those lines. And I actually reasoned that a lot of the stuff that the media covers about the decisions you're making probably aren't the ones that really control Salida's future. Salida is set up for growth, and managing that growth responsibly is probably your biggest challenge. And so I recognize that the public element of the decisions can be a challenging one to navigate. But I think using a good approach with good debate for all the decisions, not just the public ones, is probably the most vital part of this position.
Thanks.
Rich, this is Dominique Nacarado. I have question number 2. If appointed, what would be your plan to get up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
I imagine all the work sessions will be a lot at first, learning on the go, and just trying to be attentive, listening to the various pros that you bring in to help you do those decisions, listening with an open mind. I imagine that there's a lot I would need to learn very quickly, and so, I would have to try to use every channel that's available to me. So that's probably relationships with you all, learning the ins and outs of the role, learning the challenges that you see on a daily basis, and independent study might play a role. Although I know everything's public record that you do, and so I imagine there's a pretty good record of the decisions that are outstanding right now that I could probably look into.
Thank you.
Rich, this is Elisa. Tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
Environment of respect for others. I think one of my first nonprofit roles had a bit of a lesson in that. I volunteered for a position with.
Hold on a
The
second.
internet, maybe?
His.
Yeah, that's
Not
what
ours,
I'm saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Spring break, everybody's
All of a
using
sudden,
it.
he's gone.
So much for. See if he comes back.
We can give a minute and see if
Yeah.
he.
Yeah.
At least it's not an interview
I can
for an
still
online
hear
position.
you all.
Oh,
Oh, he can hear us.
He can hear us.
Oh, you can hear us. Okay, great.
Yeah. Do you want me to keep talking?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
just pick up right around
number-
nonprofit
So
role.
around nonprofit,
One of your
because then you
first
started
ones.
to break up a bunch, but now we're hearing you.
Okay, all right. There might be a little bit of lag, so I'm going to try to fight through this. So Field to Be is a nonprofit dance studio that offers an accessible dance environment. They use vibro-tactile flooring.
Hey, Rich, I wonder if it would be, if you turn
and,
the
gives,
video off,
kids
it
that
might,
have, different abilities, including
we might
I'm
get,
off camera. I'm going to keep talking, but you all interrupt me if it's still not working.
yeah, but I think if you leave the video off, we'll hear you more clearly.
All right, I'm going to do my best. And again, I apologize. I realize this is probably disruptive for you all. You've got a busy agenda today. So, like I said, for me, it's a bonus to be here. So, Field of Beats, I was describing their operations. They provide an accessible dance studio for kids with different abilities, including those that are deaf and hard of hearing. And it was a young organization, and I came in when they were in the midst of a lot of board development and trying to figure out how to accomplish their mission. And we went through probably half a dozen board members in the early stages of just kind of trying to create organizational structure. And so seeing the organization through that, going through board development and strategic planning sessions, like having like Post-it notes on a screen and thinking good and hard about mission statements and whether the operating the dance studio was more important than trying to gain as much outreach as we can versus trying to see if our technology might be used elsewhere. And so there was difficult decisions to make, and a lot of people with different perspectives and different motives and different biases. And I think when those types of settings, it really helps to be open-minded. It really helps to try to base your decisions on the richness of the data behind it and trying to manage your own biases. And so, going through experiences like that, other small nonprofits, and seeing them through those types of decisions, that's probably my best take on the question I was asked.
Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. This is Suzanne Fontana. Can you hear me?
Can.
Okay. Question number 4. How would you respond to a decision that did not go your way?
I go back to this concept that you can make the decision based on the best information you have available to you at the time. And I think that's going to inevitably lead you to some forks in the road, and maybe you'll look back and think you made the wrong turn. And so how do you pivot from there? I think you just got to adapt to the circumstances, make the decision based on the best data. And as new data comes available that maybe tells you that you did something wrong, be open-minded enough to go back and double back and rethink and refigure all of the information you have available to you at that later point. And so, I think you just got to react and adapt.
All right. This is Justin Critelli, just asking the last question here. Just in the interest of foregoing a campaign, I just want to know about your platform. What do you consider priority projects for the city, and what goals do you wish to achieve in your role here on council?
I go back to, I don't have a specific agenda, and I think that might be a good thing. When I look at Salida, first of all, I love what Salida's given me, and I want to give back, and I want to let other people get that too. And so for me, the challenge that Salida faces is not growing because it will grow, but rather growing responsibly. And so I think that means determining the best infrastructure investments that Salida can make to help the most people. That's probably the biggest decision to make. And alongside that, I think investing in the youth is probably the natural accompaniment to that, because great cities make great kids that become great adults and stewards of that. And so I think infrastructure, youth, and beyond that, I remain open-minded and data-driven. And so I'd go along with what the council wants to hear and approach it as unbiased as I could.
Rich, thank you so much for being on this evening. We will make the appointment tomorrow night at the council meeting. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you all. Thanks again.
Thank you. And I'm going to formally introduce you. My name's Dan Shore. I know it's Robert Perlman, but I get the impression from looking at you prefer Wolf.
I do.
Okay. So we have Wolf here with us.
Good choice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, so the way we're doing it, we're asking everyone the same questions. So there's 5 questions to ask. We'll rotate around.
Very good.
And the first question I'll start with is, what is the most important skill you can bring to the city council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public asks you for?
I would say the ability to see 2 sides of an issue, or 3 or 4, depending on what the issue is, and try and help come up with a solution that is best for everyone concerned, both the city and the community and the citizens of Salida.
Thank you. Thanks.
I have question number 2. If appointed, what would be your plan to get up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
A lot of reading. Just to make sure that I know and I'm familiar with all of the issues that are before the city council currently and things that are in line to come up for the city within, whatever's out there. And I know there are an awful lot of things. Obviously I'd want to align myself with the priorities of the city and the council itself in terms of, the community and, strategic planning and the infrastructure and everything else. But there's an awful lot that goes into all that, and a lot of discussion and a lot of different viewpoints that I think need to be taken into consideration. And if appointed, I would do my best to be a representative for my ward, for the city itself, and of course a valuable member of the council itself in terms of helping to find the solutions that work best for everyone.
Thanks.
And then Wolf, tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
I was a middle school science teacher for 20 years. I pretty much had to do that all the time. There are a number of times when, I had to be a mediator, whether it was for students, whether it's for teachers, whether it's for, I've also been on community boards in Kansas City, for a neighborhood association, Indian Hills Neighborhood Association. I've been a member of the Colorado Blues Society board for at least 10 years, vice president for 2 terms. And in all of those instances, there have been times when compromise was necessary. There have been times when sometimes it's necessary to lower the temperatures and step back, take a deep breath, and see what's really happening behind everything. And just make everyone more comfortable. Make sure that everyone's voice is heard. That said, not every voice and not every opinion is the right thing for everyone. So it's a matter of just, a lot of times it's a matter of weighing the options, seeing what those options are, good or bad, and going from there. And finding a consensus or being a part of a consensus that weighs all those options and makes everything better.
Thank you, Wolf. My name is Suzanne. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay. I'll ask the question number 4. Let's see if you can get it. How would you respond to a decision that did not go your way?
Well, I had to accept it. Like anything else, life is not perfect for anyone. We don't all get our way, and that's the way it goes. I may come out in support of one measure, and the rest of the community says, we want it the other way, and, we don't like this measure. Okay, that's the way it is. We have to accept things that are the best for the community, not what is best for ourselves. And there are an awful lot of people in this community that are well served by this council and other people within the community, and we all do our best to get along. I mean, that's part of being a community, is having diverse people, diverse interests, diverse opinions. But the bottom line, I believe, is that we need to all work together, because when we all work together, it benefits everyone one way or another.
And I have the
Thank
last
you.
question, which is, in the interest of foregoing a campaign, I want to know about your platform. What do you consider priority projects for the city, or what are goals that you wish to achieve in your role on council?
At this point, I don't specifically have any goals vis-a-vis any particular projects. Before I can say, hey, here's what I want to do, or what I want not to happen, or what do want to happen, I would have to kind of get the pulse of people, reach out to the people in Ward 3 and anyone else, I suppose, and say, here's, what do you guys want? What is your opinion? Weigh all of the opinions along with the rest of the city council and kind of go from there. Again, this is not a matter of what are my goals. It is a matter of what are the overarching goals for the city as defined by the city council. I mean, I can give you an opinion on paid parking, but right now it's not important. It's a matter of what is best for the city and the community in the long run. And my goal as being a city council person is just to respect the fact that there are different opinions and to help ensure that it comes out right for the city and for the people. And again, it's not necessarily what I want, it's what's best for the city. I think I would like to see, how are things weighted during discussions of, on this or that, any different proposals or things that are going on. What are the positives of having it done? What are the positives of not doing it? And go from there.
Thank you very much. So we will be making the appointment at the council meeting tomorrow. And just thank you very much for stepping up.
Mr. Mayor, council people, and everyone else, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And I know your decisions are not going to be easy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
next up, we have Corey Salty Riggs. Thank you for being here. So the way it works, there's 5 questions we'll be asking. We ask the same questions to everyone else. And I am going to go first. And the first question is, what's the most important skill that you can bring to the city council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public asks you for?
Thank you for that question. The most important skill that I can bring to council while working with what staff recommends and navigating what the public has asked me for. I would say that the best skill that I would bring to the table is my ability to do research and do homework about what other communities do in similar situations. That's something that I have been doing a lot of in the last several years. I follow the state level legislation and I follow several different communities, city council meetings, as well as what's been going on across our county. And because Salida is not just an island and we don't have to just guess how things play out and what works and what doesn't, paying attention to what other communities are doing and just really diving into the research and the data would be an interesting thing to bring to the table. Another thing that I probably am really good at compared to most people is seeking out those who are affected by the problem or those who have more expertise than me and more knowledge than me on given topics and asking them a bunch of questions about it and trying to get their insight and perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is mine. If appointed, what would be your plan to get up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
Thank you. Well, I have watched multiple council training workshops now, and I've had to go through the government training within the CHA, but honestly, I think that my approach would be just to ask you guys and make you guys tutor me and help me do an excellent job.
Thanks.
Okay, I've got the third question. So tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
Honesty, inclusion, and respect. I'm tempted to tell you about something that's not Betch. So one time I was on a river trip with a bunch of friends, and these were girls that I worked with in an animal welfare organization. So we were all dog crazy. We had already had, I think, 3 dogs over the maximum for the Airbnb that we were staying in already. And this girl, Kelly, was on her way there, and we called her Blackberry Kelly because she was really annoying, like always on her phone and always doing like she was probably my least favorite person in the group. Yet I had to step up and be a leader in this situation. Kelly found a dog on the way to Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Somebody had dumped it out of a moving car on the highway, and Kelly adopted this coonhound that she was bringing. And yeah, I had to put aside my personal feelings and put aside the issue of having more pets in that Airbnb because everybody was freaking out. Half of the girls wanted to go home. Half the girls hate breaking rules, and it was this huge thing. And so I called the Airbnb owner and got permission and paid the extra fee so that we could have another dog. And I called and this dog was crazy. He was a coon dog. All he did was bark as loud as possible the entire time. And so I called the boat people and got their permission to leave the dog with them. And we could hear him barking the entire time we were on the river, miles away from those poor people's place. But I was the one who, while everybody was freaking out and everything, I was the one who was like, okay, guys, what is it gonna take to get Kelly on the boat? Let's start talking about the steps we need to take to get Kelly on the boat. Let's stop worrying about everything else. And so, I mean, I realize that doesn't have anything to do with city council, but you guys know all of those other stories, so I thought I would tell you a different one. Thank you.
Hi, Salty. It's Suzanne Fontana. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I have question number 4. How would you respond to a decision that didn't go your way?
Thank you for the question. I have that happen to me a lot with all the different committees and organizations that I'm a part of, and even at my job, decisions don't go my way every day, and that's part of being a team player, and that's part of recognizing that it's not the Salty show. We have a job to do. Just the other day, we were working on the upcoming Child Abuse Prevention Month, and I mean, you guys are going to be happy. I convinced them to not do the pinwheel things, because I remember that meeting from a couple years ago. But I really wanted to plant trees and plant flowers instead. I thought that would be a really brilliant move, but not everyone in the room agreed with me. And we picked a different course of action that is going to be equally good, maybe not something that I like as much, but I think the kids will like it as much, if not more. And so sometimes you have to let go of what you want in order to focus on what's most important.
Great, thanks.
I have the last question. So in the interest of foregoing a campaign, I want to know more about your platform. What do you consider priority projects for the city, or goals that you wish to achieve in your role on council?
Well, I have some big goals. I would like to use my expertise to help us solve the #1 problem that is facing our community, and that is the housing crisis. As I said, I have been following state and local and national housing policy discussions for years now, and there are so many tools in the toolbox that other communities are implementing that we haven't even discussed yet or considered yet. And not that necessarily I'm going to just show up and dump all of these tools on the table, but I believe that having an awareness of all the different options that are available, and being able to contribute that to the discussion is an excellent first step towards addressing our community's housing crisis. Housing is one of those issues that it's affected on every different level of the government. Like, it's affected by federal policy and by state policy and by county policy and by local policy. But the biggest fight is in the local government. And that is really where you can affect the most change. We're also on the brink of a childcare crisis. So I would like to help us be incredibly aware of that and do what we can to not exacerbate that problem and maybe alleviate some of those issues so that we don't have to go through 2 crises at the same time. And also another topic that I'm really interested in is public transit. And I know that it's been discussed in city council meetings in the past, having some public transit along that 291 Oak Street Highway 50 corridor. And I would love to help implement that and make that a reality as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll make the appointment tomorrow night during the council meeting, but thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yep. And so next up, we have Mark Weishart. Mark, thanks for being here. And we apologize for you having to go last, but I guess that's what happens when you have a last name that starts with a W and we go alphabetical.
Been that way all my life.
Yeah. And I appreciate the conversation we had not too long ago. I'm Dan Shore. And so we've been asking everybody the same 5 questions, just to be fair. And so I'll start with the first one. And the first question is, what do you see as the most important skill you can bring to the city council while working with what staff recommends versus what the public asks you for?
Well, as I put down in my application, I have 37 years of service, government service. Most of that was working for the city of Phoenix as a park professional, and I gained a lot of experience in that process. I worked with city council pretty much on a weekly basis, working with citizens. I would say my biggest asset is that I have a lot of experience, and I've dealt with budgets. I actually was in charge of a unit where I had 15 park rangers and 10,000 acres of open space and over 100 miles of trail. And, you have citizen issues constantly with properties that butt up to the preserves and that sort of thing. And, you're always being a moderator or a mediator to try to solve those issues and walk away from the situation where the citizen feels like they are getting something out of it, not just being told that's the way it is. So, yeah, my experience.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I have question number 2. If appointed, what would be your plan to get up to speed on council roles and responsibilities?
Well, I wouldn't want to be a bull in a china shop, so my plan would be to try to spend some time with each department head, just so I could get an understanding of how the departments work and how the city works. And, whether that takes a month or 3 or 4 months. And I know sometimes, you can't just come into a situation and think you know everything. And I think, meeting with people, the finance department, the police chief, the fire chief, and so on, and find out what their operation is all about, what their needs are, and what their vision for the future is, and how we can work to help them achieve that vision while working within, what the vision for the whole city is, as far as like master planning and that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
So tell us about a time when you created an environment of honesty, inclusion, and respect for others. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcomes.
Well, dealing with 15 park rangers, and I actually had some maintenance staff in this division also, and there were times where there would be conflict, that some of the people would feel like some of the other folks weren't carrying their weight and doing what they were supposed to do. Some people felt like they were having to pick up the slack, and so you'd have to sit down and try to work this out with the groups and or the parties involved, and try to come to a mutual agreement on what would work for everybody. And one of the biggest problems I think I ever had was, everybody wants to have weekends off. Well, if you're a park ranger, the busiest time in the parks is Saturday and Sunday. And I had a ranger who came in there and he was very upset that he couldn't have, Saturday and Sunday off. And he had some seniority over some of the other rangers, but he wasn't top in the seniority list. So what we ended up doing was coming up with a solution where we would give him 1 day a week off, and then, periodically give them 2 days off, Saturday and Sunday, so that they could feel like at least they got some middle ground there and they weren't just totally told, nope, you're working both days, so.
Hi, Mark. This is Suzanne Fontana. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I have question number 4. How would you respond to a decision that did not go your way?
So are you talking about a decision made by the city council? Well,
Yes.
if that was a decision that I didn't like, but that's what the whole group decided they wanted to do, we have to work as a team. And teamwork is paramount to making sure that everything runs smoothly. And I would just have to, accept that my opinion wasn't the popular opinion and, get on board with that decision and follow through with it and support it, and not go around saying, well, I didn't support that. Just, if you have questions from the public to say, why did we do this? Even though we know that you didn't support it, well, this is what we decided we would do, and this is what we need to do, and that's the way it's going to go, unfortunately. And explain the benefits, as to why we're doing what we're doing. So.
And I have the last question. Just in the interest of foregoing a campaign, I want to know more about your platform. What do you consider to be priority projects for the city and goals that you wish to achieve in your role here on council?
Well, at this point, I did a little bit of research this morning, and I was looking at the city budget and was looking at how the police department's budget really hasn't grown that much over the last 3 or 4 years, but I've noticed that their service calls have literally doubled since 2018. And for me, public service is public safety is paramount. I mean, in my book, that's number one. You've got to have public safety above everything else, or it's just going to turn to chaos. So I would like to see some resolution there. And I understand that we have a situation where police officers get trained here and the pay is such that they end up going somewhere else where they can make more money, which seems like it's not beneficial for us to train somebody and then to lose them. And second thing I would really like to see, the national parks. I'm a parks person, so that's one thing that's my background has been my entire life. And the National Parks and Recreation Association says that on average, you should have about 11 acres of park for every 1,000 citizens that you have. And I noticed that Salida really at this point only has about 32 acres of what I call grassland parks, the green parks. So I think we need to expand on that because we have almost 6,000 citizens. So if you do the math, I mean, we literally should have, at least 60 acres of green space for parks. Now we're doing really well on our open space side of it. I mean, I'm impressed with, the amount of trails we have in the open space, but, families need green parks, so. All right.
Well, thank you very much. The way this will work is tomorrow night, council will make an appointment, and really appreciate you stepping up and being here tonight.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see some of you tomorrow night.